So, well, my notes here. I'll take notes as we go along. See, the assessed valuations are pretty close to what they were last year. So what we do is we go through and calculate there in the middle section how much we would expect to receive in each of the fund accounts based on that levy amount. So what we do is we get the assessed valuation numbers from the two counties, we add them together, we fill out some forms for the state auditor's office, they run their calculations, and then they spit out how much we're allowed to levy. We are allowed to levy the $3.5819. If you recall in some of our correspondence, I feel like we need to build up that capital projects fund because we've been spending faster than what we're able to transfer over there every year. And so the extra that's been in there is dwindling down. And so really by law, you can move that 358 around however you want to. You just can't go lower than 275 in operations. And so you can see there that every 10 cents for us is about, $35,000 or so. So the rough estimate is if we take 30 cents of that and put it into capital projects, then we can put an extra $100,000 in Fund 4. Then when it comes time to the water transfer, we can still decide if we want to do the full amount or do we want to lower it because we've got this in here, kind of depending on where we're at. So it just gives us more flexibility. It also helps us build that back up because with this roof bill, we hope we know how that goes. But if we eat that, then we're looking at having very little left in Fund 4 at the end of the year if we spend everything that's budgeted. So I'm looking to build that up.
Which I think we've all seen it's lower than it needs to be.
Yeah. So we could do more than 30 cents, but that was just, what I was recommending, right there to at least try to put another $100,000 in there to give us a little bit of a cushion, for this year. And then this is something you can do every year as long as you can afford it in operations. That's the thing, you have to be able to afford it in operations. So the debt service one, the calculation, actually, this amount is if we do if we do decide to do the defeasance, which is trying to pay those bonds off early, which during open session, we get to that part. Guy from Stiefel on to explain that for us. And so if we decide to move forward with that, those calculations from the auditor actually came out to levying 4,999. But I think from the very beginning with this bond issue, it's always been at 4,898. And so we would take about a penny rollback on that to stay, so we don't raise the levy on our taxpayers for that. Any questions? I hope that makes sense. It can be confusing.
Basically stays the same other than we're going to be allowing a little money to go into.
We're going to
Capital.
split it up in our own.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect.
Anybody got anything else? We vote on it in open session, so we'll just adjourn this hearing and
Motion to adjourn?
motion. Thank you. All right, call to order the regular session. Stand for the pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call. Minute ago. Approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Darla? Consent agenda items. Minutes from last month. Financial.
Fix that roof. Right afterwards, there was no water. Yeah, that the issue. They quickly, when we got there with Carl, they quickly saw what the issue was. And Carl was happy with it. Yeah. And there's, I'm not sure before, but it's warranty with their work, but they seem to be pretty good people. When we got them here, they fixed it really quick. Mistake.
Motion and a second. Did you get Dusty?
I did.
All right.
Are we doing days and days?
What's that?
Are we doing days?
Yes.
Oh, all in favor, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you know I can't do more than one thing at one time.
Abstain. Yeah, I'll forget that about every time.
Okay, we haven't done it so far, so I'm like, I'm missing something.
Say something
Everything else
quickly.
is
Yeah.
Approval of the bill.
The addition on there, 3 vendors in the last page.
What was this? Some epoxy flooring. So,
The elementary bathroom.
for the bathroom. Yeah. Over there. I knew the partitions were.
So we ended up trading some stuff there where we took out the tile and then they did some epoxy going out to the playground. Redid the floor right there, went out to the playground. So looks nice. The bathroom looks really, really nice. I think don't recall if we got the voice side done. We were waiting on some hardware. It didn't come with the partitions, but it looks really good. Well, we were only doing the 2 down at the elementary, but so we've done several years.
This one's been the same for 20 years. And
The peeps needs done.
Peeps things done. Probably this hallway, the peeps. Just be curious of what's left.
Well, if you recall, and I have to go back and check it, that initial quote that you guys saw included some of those extra ones, but the urgency level was different. So definitely something to keep on our radar.
Anything else? All in favor? Administration reports.
Here. Classrooms look awesome. My teachers always do a great job getting their classrooms ready. Nice and clean everywhere. Again, the bathrooms, Doug said it added so much improvement on things that we've done. They look fantastic. Open house is tonight and looked pretty good. Had a lot of parents in and out, so I think that's going to be great. Have numbers of parents by next board meeting, I always have my teachers, have everybody sign in, because I like to know how many we have. Professional development this year, starting off, we do have one brand new teacher that will be attending the BTAP training. We do have 2 teachers that are going to be in second year of letters, and then 1 teacher that is starting the first year of letters. We also have, DESE has approved the literacy coach, money there for that, so we do get a literacy coach that works for our PDC and DESE. They kind of partnered up. She's going to come in and work with grades 2 through 5, well, 2 through 4, and then do check-ins with 5th and 6th grade. So actually 6, 7, and 8. She's going to work a little bit with our 6, 7, and 8. Those RSPs kind of are moving up through the high school side, so she's going to provide some support there to our middle school teacher as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Teachers really are too. She's great. She was here last year, did some work last year. We had our Crisco League big meeting with all the surrounding principals, superintendents, planned our year out for that. And then our numbers starting off there. Now, I did this last week, and I can tell you that it has changed. So we've had a lot of ins and outs. So I just wanted to throw together what I had, give you a little bit of an idea there. Just remember, this is pre-K 5. It's 6th grade numbers will go on Crystal's side now. So mine will probably look a little bit lower due to that. But yeah.
Any concerns that you were made of, anything that's right on your end?
What's
Any
that?
concerns going forward, see potential audit?
So far.
Wonderful.
This fall sports have started. Numbers have been better than I expected, to be honest. Middle school boys basketball, we have 14. Middle school girls basketball, we're up to 9. I was worried about having 5. So, happy with that. Softball, we have 11, working on eligibility for 1, so it'll be interesting, but numbers are okay for fall sports. Tony's still working on golf. You know, it's hard when practice starts before school starts. That's why I was really worried about our middle school numbers, but surprisingly, they've all showed up this week. So it's been a blessing. Now the concern will be, will we have more show up and miss a week of practice? We'll have to decide what to do. So that could happen, but, you know, our numbers, I'd say we'll take what we can get. So, but our numbers have been pretty good so far. Things are going well.
Totally up to you. Yeah. Is he ready now?
He's ready. I think I'm ready. Hey, Martin, are you there?
This is Doug. We're jumping ahead to your portion. Hang on, we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, sorry.
Is there a microphone on this one too?
Well, I shut it off, I thought. It shouldn't be picking up
Maybe
that.
Can we just hear it?
Yeah, so let me set the speaker on.
So, Stifel, they're the ones that help us with our bonds. And in order to,
Oh, I know why it's not.
Try to help us with
Can you hear me, Martin?
Yes.
Okay, we're getting the audio turned up here. So Martin is with Steeple. He's the guy that's been working with our district for a while with their bonds. And in order to keep our bonds, our Fund 3 levy where it's at, we do need to use the extra that's in Fund 3 to pay it down. Because really, if we keep our balance high, then the state calculation says you don't need to levy as much because you have money sitting already. So if we pay that down and get ahead of our bonds, good. I'll probably use the incorrect terminology. It really defeats it. So we'll talk more about that, but for simplicity, just being simple. To pay that down, and say, well, we can keep our levy high, and then we can stay on top of it and try to pay it, get it later, right? And so, so in order to pass that 48-cent levy on here, we have to do this part first. If you decide to do that, if we don't go with this route, then we can't levy this amount. And we'd have to go back probably 12 or 13 cents, and we're really not getting ahead of it. So, but I'll turn it over to Martin for Martin's presentation.
Perfect, thanks. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah.
See,
Yep.
would you guys be able to see it? Okay. Let me work on that. Okay. Do this. Does this show up okay? Can you guys see my screen?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, not right yet.
Okay. I'll try another way. Or do you guys have the material as well? That would be the other way of looking at it.
Don't know if I have your presentation in the packet, but I did have the documents in the packet.
I stop presenting in Teams.
If you need to email me the presentation, I can forward that to the board real quick, and they'll be able to pull it up on their devices.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you a few days ago.
Let me see if I'll see if I've got it.
Try something else.
Okay, I'll forward it to them. I think this is the one from the 11th. It's still the same.
Yeah.
Martin, I just forwarded them their presentation, and they've got Chromebooks in front of them.
We can also see it again now.
Is this?
Oh, we can see it
Does this show
now.
my screen now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, I just needed to restart it or do something different here, so sorry about that. Okay, so sorry about that, everyone. Hey, yeah, Martin Gafori with Steeple. Happy to be here virtually and just kind of run through some of this with you. As Doug kind of referenced, there's a reason why we're having this conversation. There's a reason we're having it today. This right here is just a snapshot of your debt. Currently, you have about 1.4 million, 1.45 million outstanding at the moment. This page is, I can go in as much detail as you want, but for now, I think what I'll do is just kind of skip over it briefly. This basically just lays out the overall debt repayment for your bonds. Here's your total revenue that we're projecting coming in. Here's your total debt service that we're projecting, or that's actually fixed. We're just showing this out through the life of this. We have some assumptions here baked in with respect to assessed value growth between 1.5% growth. This year is a non-reassessment year, and you got about 1.6% growth this year. So this debt service fund balance here, this figure, is what it is that we're kind of talking about. You guys have about $270,000 on hand. Your debt payment coming up for September is about $21,000. So for the intents of, and for all intents and purposes of this discussion, I look at this as your end of year 12/31 fund balance to be about $250,000. So the reason why that's important, that comes into play here on your Form C, is your debt service tax rate calculation, and it's all a function of your assessed value and your debt payments. So your first line is your debt service, or your assessed value from this year. Your next line is your 27 calendar year debt payments, then your cost of collections, then you've got your 28 debt payments. They say you're allowed to have 2 years of debt payments as well as the cost of collection, so you're allowed to levy up to $295,000, but you have on hand about $250,000. So you have to net that out. Then it shows you've got about $44,000 of tax that you could collect. And then historically, you get to add in your state assessed railroad and other items that you kind of transfer in to the account. So that's another about $6,300. Subtract that out, and the long and short of this is it's saying you can levy about 10 cents for your tax rate if that's what you were going to do and live by this. So as Doug kind of mentioned, one of the things that you can do is you can do a defeasance, which is just prepaying some of your debt, using some of the money out of this debt service fund balance to do so. You can only use the money in that Fund 3 debt service fund for paying down your debt. So we're still satisfying that limitation, and also then we would be able to levy the full amount. But so here's the different options you have. You can do defeasance, which is essentially just a prepayment. You just prepay your debt. It's just the technical term. You can, if you have voter authorization, which you do not, you could issue some of that. You could just kind of soak up some of that revenue in those calculations on the prior page. You could include some of that in the calculations, and that would change the math. You could lower your debt service levy, or if you have any bonds that are outstanding that are callable, which your bonds have a call date of March 129. So in the next few years, maybe if rates drop, you might be able to refinance these, but right now you're not technically allowed to due to tax law, how they changed that in 2017. So really you've got these couple of options. You've got defeasance where you lower your tax rate. This proposed defeasance that we've kind of pulled together and summarized on this page is really, we're going to take about $150,000 out of your debt service fund. But to be able to do so, we need board approval to approve the resolution that you have in front of you. That resolution essentially just says that you're authorizing the transfer of those funds to prepay this debt. And it's going to look essentially like what I'm describing here. So you would pay about $150,000. You'd prepay about $135,000 of debt, as well as some interest. Interest is going to be kind of principal and interest on those bonds will be paid through that call date of March 1, 2029. You're essentially avoiding interest of about $54,000. And it's essentially these bonds are what we're showing that you pay off, and it's the math on this $54,000 is essentially it's the 3% interest that you would be paying, which I showed on this page. If you paid off this portion, it's at a 3% rate, and so is the next, so is the prior year, 2039. So you'd have 3% on all of this money for every year going through 2040 that would be foregone. So that's how you come up with that estimate of about $54,000 of interest that's also eliminated. And then the total debt service that would be gone would be about $189,000 worth of debt service. So you're essentially just using funds on hand to prepay your debt. You're doing what would be called a technical or a legal defeasance as well. You're reducing your overall debt service. And by doing so, you're essentially, this is just that same debt service levy spreadsheet with a defeasance baked into it. So it shows you the aggregated defeased amounts of interest and principal in this column. That's how you get the 189,000. It's redeeming all of these bonds in these years, and then essentially you're just lowering your debt service payments due to the interest of those maturities as well. So then your debt service fund balance at the end of the year would be about 100,000 instead of 250,000, and that just flows through this sheet. This is the Form C now, assuming that the defeasance is completed. Your debt service for next year would be reduced by about $4,000 as well. Then your cost of collection declines slightly. Then 28, your estimated debt service again drops by $4,050. Then that leaves your anticipated balance at the end of the year about 100,000. So you can see if we skip to the good part, you're actually be levying your same rate that you levied last year, 48.98. You would do a voluntary reduction of 1 cent. You would have been allowed to levy about 50 cents, but you're pulling it back to where you were historically. And then you essentially are able to go ahead and take care of setting your tax rate at the same level you had in prior years, and also just taking some of these funds and prepaying some of the debt service that you have outstanding. And then to carry it a little bit further, by managing your debt service at a set rate through the life of your current outstanding debt, it may open other doors to you as well in terms of other possibilities to issue additional bonds in the future that are open because you've kept your tax rate at this 48-cent levy. If you do that, next year we're projecting anywhere between 1.4 to 1.5 million dollars of a general obligation bond issue that could potentially be authorized by the public. You'd still need voter approval. And then we also looked at the same situation in the 2028 election, and that goes to about 1.5 to 1.6, almost 1.7 million, depending on the interest rates where we are. Right now, this is kind of how we have to show you this. Essentially, what we're doing is just taking the net present value of this bucket of money that's kind of highlighted here, and if you're otherwise, it's kind of shaded in this area. So what we're doing is just taking the present value, bringing it back to today, and saying how much money could this generate if you were to do so at these levels. So that's a quick summary of what is going on here. Happy to answer any questions. This is literally, it's just prepaying your debt, letting you go ahead and set your tax rate at that same, if I go back page here, if you're basically setting your tax rate at the historical level last year at 48.98 and just keeping it there. Do y'all have any questions?
I think they're good.
So this is just
Okay.
Hey, hang on a second.
this year, we do this, and then on this next chart, we'd have to do it again in like 2028 or something.
Possibly, because right now we're getting ahead of it. So often that balance gets to the point where if we don't do something, then we can't levy as much.
Well, just, yeah.
Yeah.
With the fees, and if we did that in 2028, it shows us a balance of 280,000.
So the question
So
was,
we would just do this like every 4 years.
so how many years do you anticipate us needing to do a defeasance? Or does it look like, or would we be able to do a defeasance?
You know, I mean, because really what's happening here is if I go back to this one. So let's say you do the defeasance this year, and then we're just kind of looking at this for subsequent years and see kind of what happens year to year. Because this is a conversation that we literally have every year. Every time you're setting your tax rate, I reach out, have a conversation similar to this, and just kind of run through your situation to let you know where you stand. So the long and short is you have revenue of about 190-some thousand, close to 200,000 at this point, and your debt service payments are about 135, 140,000. So you're generating additional revenue about 55,000 every year. So I would think probably even if you do a defeasance this year, you may need to do another one next year, just because your revenue is coming in a little higher than what is needed for your debt payments. But by doing so, you could potentially preserve your ability to go back to the public and ask for some additional needs to get taken care of there at the district. So it may be a recurring thing that, you know, for the next couple of years, maybe you just do these defeasance and then prepay some debt. We can try and look at doing multiple years at a time. I just think that by drawing yours down significantly more than this, where we are, I just don't want to put you in a bad situation to where you may have to like borrow from operations to make a debt payment or do something. I want you to stay away from that by all means. So it may be an annual thing for a couple of years here.
So one of the things Steeple does is they reach out to us around the time that counties are sending us the assessed valuation numbers, and they ask for certain data so they can run this analysis for us. So every year, you know, he referenced that every year he'll run an analysis to determine what's best for us at that time.
You just present the options, you know, and let you guys make a decision on which way you want to go.
That's really what it's what it's
Plus, you know, we got to be good stewards of our income coming in. I think, you know, that data is maybe negative.
saving a lot of interest.
Plus,
Yeah.
Anything else? Mark, we sure appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And if everything's okay on your end, then, you know, we would just ask that you read that resolution, approve the resolution, and then send it over maybe tomorrow, and then we can go ahead and get some of these, get this moving and get the escrow sized.
All right, appreciate it, Martin.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks. We'll just run down through the agenda as it is once we get to discuss that further. Yep, vote how we want. You're up. All right. There's the report here. Establish and maintain the financial stability of the district. We spent a lot of time in the last month. You can see the agenda on how to, you know, best manage or maximize the funds that we have. So we're talking, you know, this month about investing and paying down our debt and all that stuff. So how can we maximize what we have to be good stewards. So a lot of that's coming up to this meeting. We continue to explore a financial program that we talked about, I think, a month or two ago. I think I figure out, you know, Friday update, the cost of that is more than I was hoping for. But I think the efficiency and some of the reporting and the forecasting and stuff, I think we benefit from. We continue to explore that. It kind of took a little backseat the last couple of weeks with just busyness of this month. Had our audit last week. We don't have the final report yet, but all indications are everything has gone well. One recommendation that was for you to have a stamp, for us to do like a stamp, and then instead of just automatically printing it, that I would keep that stamp in my office. And so then when we need to sign a check, she wouldn't know where it was at. It just adds another layer. And so that's something we'll have to work on. That was really the thing about it. I would really like 2 wet signatures. But you guys would?
No, that's what,
Oh,
when she called me,
yeah.
but the stamp or the stamp option.
Yeah. We can work on, which probably, I don't know where we get that, but they probably have you come in and just sign a few times and create a stamp. I don't know where we get that now. I'm trying to figure it out. But again, I would lock that up and she would know where it's at, but when she needs to do checks, then I would get it for her. But really, things went well. I really commend April for her work with all that stuff. Things got well. Recruit, attract, develop, retain highly qualified staff. I put on here, I think we've had some really good PR, especially with Ms. Hans. She continues to advance in the state teacher of the year. Now she's in the final 16. I think, what was there? Start off by saying over 160 or something. And then the regional winners took it down to 13. Now they've narrowed it down to 16. And we should find out next week if she advances to the final 8, which includes an interview. So just proud of her. Her story is pretty incredible. Her story. Ms. Brown being new, she spent a lot of time just listening to staff and learning from them. So that's been good. And I mentioned this before, but just, you're back. Let's see you come in.
Yes.
Anyway, you're back, good. So a lot of time listening to staff, which I think, helps, and feedback I've received has been positive so far too. So, new teacher, new staff stuff. We didn't have hardly this year. And so that's such an incredible thing that we're coming into this year with people who've already been here. Generally, we have a new staff orientation day. What the need for it this year because we didn't really have it. And so, great thing. So and that's so many staff get credit for that. Not just staff, but just good things going. Develop and enhance quality and educational instructional programs to improve. Put in here, literacy work is continuing at the elementary. In fact, we're expanding on that to some upper grades now. Mrs. Wright continues to coordinate, various coaching and learning opportunities for the elementary. So lots of good things going on in the elementary. And from what I hear is there's some media outlets starting to pick that story up again. I don't know if you've gotten any. Yeah.
So we're going to talk tomorrow with another interview me again about the stuff we're doing. So yeah,
Just fabulous work that's going on. I do appreciate each of the administrators taking time out of their July to go to the conference we went to, the administrative retreat. I think one, it's great learning for us, but it was also good for us to go spend that time together going into the school year. I think we have a pretty strong team and everybody gets along pretty well, so that's been good. And Ms. Wright, I know referenced a little bit in her report, but we had teachers on both ends of the campus that are going to be pursuing year-long learning opportunities. Some really good things are going to benefit our district, from literacy to some teacher stuff. I think we've got the Aspire training. And there's some other things going on too that it's going to benefit us. So good things going on there. Ensuring the facility grounds and buses are safe for faculty, staff, students, and visitors. I put on here that by the time we had this meeting, we'd have a couple of guest speakers this week, and that was really, really good. So our kids are exposed to a lot. There's a lot of people out there preying on young kids. There's a lot of things we could be doing because we have our eyes on kids to look out for them, to be aware of. So this week was bringing in experts in their fields to give us all these look-fors, just to help protect our kids, help protect our school community. We have one today too, the one on Thursday come in, just phenomenal. We've also had some non-violent crisis intervention training earlier in the week that our administrators, counselors, and SPED staff went through. Just really good stuff. Some CPR refresher, and a lot of safety things this week to try to make sure that we're prepared for different things that may come our way. So appreciate that. Lonnie's been working to get our buses ready for the start of school. The roof has been repaired. That seems to be not an issue anymore. Custodians have been working to get things ready. We had to repair some net around the playground fence. We talked about the partitions and the bathrooms. Things are just looking really, really good down there. That was a great thing. Cultivate a healthy, safe, and warm climate and culture for our staff and students. I mentioned the senior sunrise that's being planned. I think that's my daughter's a senior. She's getting excited about that. So I think that's just a great way to kick off the year for our seniors. That's been a lot of work organizing that, but excited about that. Thankful for 2CM and Open providing lunches this week. It was something that meant a lot to them. They reached out. They wanted to just thank our staff and show some appreciation. So that was good. And then I don't know if I'll get the cat out of the bag or not, but Miss Wright and Miss Brown are working to design some staff shirts. So I know they'll be excited when they get those. But anyway, put that out there.
No more.
It's not anymore.
It's not
anymore. But we've had a really good week. It's been a really, really busy week, but it's been a really good week. Back to school with our staff. Everybody seems to be in a really good spot, anxious to get started next week after they get some rest this weekend because it's been really busy.
You got anything?
Oh. I have lots of great things. So enrollment, 152. I don't know if that's up or down yet, but next month we'll have a baseline. Staff shout outs. You guys got some great staff here. So I got to work with a lot of people over the last 2 weeks. Ms. Smith, the counselor, has kept track of me the entire time. She's been phenomenal, provided some clarity. Mr. Dan, oh, I'm so sorry. I've asked him a lot of questions. Ms. Childry, the new secretary, like she is up and running, handles things well, is progressing really well, asks for help when she needs it, and it's just a workhorse. And then Mr. Dunn, April, Shannon, Ms. Wright, Mr. Ford, Mr. Simile. It's been like 10,001 questions. They've been very gracious with me, so lots of appreciation there. Student shout out. So I was able to get Abigail and Paige Lewis to do my student tours, which is happening right now. So I was really excited about that. Cheerleaders are going to start announcements second week. I'm going to do them the first week, and then those cheerleaders are going to start doing the morning announcements, which is really exciting to see student leadership. I finished planning the senior sunrise, and I'm very excited about that. So I think that's going to be very good for our seniors, and they seem very appreciative of that. Four Rivers in their free physicals was great. We also had Grace, Greater Rolla Area Charitable Enterprise, come by and offer assistance with any needs we may have. So that was really exciting, and they seem like they really want to help. So I was impressed by that. Minors in the Making came to registration. 2CM and all their support throughout the last week. And then Tide Partners, we're going to do a little work with them this year. I also got to go see a softball practice. My boys got to attend that and Shag softball. They were super excited. But what I was really impressed by is how your softball players were giving like feedback to each other in a loving manner. So they were providing that support to each other. And I was just like, these are great kids. These are great kids doing great things. And John's done a great job organizing and tracking all that. Back to school seems to freshman orientation went well. I just finished 6th and 7th grade. So, and Parents Square is up and running, and Mr. Day has been a vital part of that. So, in professional development, we did some Infinite Campus. We're working on getting that hall pass system put in. We're running into a few problems with our Authenticator app, but we should have it in by the end of September. So we're going to start with small groups of teachers and then train them out. That's it. That's all I got.
I'm just glad you talked about it.
Working on it.
I said something last time. You're gonna speak up. I'm dead.
No,
You did great.
He's
You
just
did
old.
great.
Just old.
Okay, just hey.
They make hearing aids for guys your age.
Well,
In case you
that's
didn't know.
my
They
next
do.
stop, folks. I'm not gonna lie.
That's all awesome stuff.
Action items. Approved bus routes.
The bus routes pretty much the same as they were last year. When we went down a driver last year, the times on there, Lonnie put on there were estimates, and once we kind of, where the dust settles with what students we have and where we're going this year, we should get a better idea of what those are. Those are how we finish the year. Pretty much.
Went by my exit today and they removed all the stuff. They haven't opened it up yet, but I think
Mm.
they're letting the concrete dry and everything, and so I'm like, Sorry, it is
Coming
affecting
soon.
my life.
Coming
completely.
soon.
And I know it's it's causing an issue with the buses last
Sugar tree.
April. Oh, that was a headache.
Jeez.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
So yeah,
I'm ready
it's,
for all that.
I'm like, yes, I'm hoping by
Tired of going through.
next, like, I
They're
think
gonna
they're,
have, I think they're gonna need.
I'm not joking.
I'd say so.
So, cause they removed all the
They completely
equipment,
demolished it.
they just gotta
That's
remove
good.
the
They've already got one side
signs
done,
off
their
each
people's
end.
done.
I'm sure it just
Probably
has to be
packed with
inspected and dry.
Yeah.
It'll be good. So excited.
Bus routes look good to me. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Substitute list.
For the most part, it's the same as last year. We got a couple additions there at the bottom. If you saw those, just pending final verification of certificates and background checks. I think we're pretty close on those. One of them already have both already. The first one I listed there in the read along also has a bus license. Could be a substitute driver for us. So, yeah, we don't get very many of those.
No.
So, we're still recruiting because we have lost some substitutes. You know, we hired a secretary who was here a lot. We have some that are stepping in, maybe do a little bit, but we do need some more. We're going to continue to recruit. So I think we also need to be looking for a sub nurse eventually. Pretty soon I'll be putting something out for that. Anyway, this is the list we got to start the year. We hope to add to it.
Yeah, I think we might.
Do we need?
You get on there, James, I don't have to look or something. Anybody else have anybody?
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Motion.
Second.
Softball purchase.
So it's common when you play softball in a baseball field, the outfield fence is way too far away from softball. So having a fence to put in to make that more regulation size for softball is pretty common. Put this on the agenda. We don't really have an account to pull that out of, but it is something that's needed. So $1,300.
It's not much.
Did we not have one before? That was what I was asking. But we have, so everything will still be out.
It
should be out.
The old one, when we took it down last year, it just, it's close to my age probably.
It disintegrated, I
Lord knows
think.
that we're in trouble.
Amen.
Well, $1,300 is better than building a whole new software.
It was
Yes.
actually more expensive than that when we found it online, and BSN could give us a better deal. So this is the better deal.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Only if we get to.
Approved battery backup purchase.
Who's the head on this?
I can pitch.
It's the battery backup.
Yeah, is this
Dave has been working.
through Dave?
So
There was a little hiccup on, we approved this a long time ago. Low bidder, not responsive, never wouldn't honor his bid, so this is the next best.
That's lovely.
Okay.
I love that.
So it's a little bit higher than what that's why it's here, it's higher than what we approved before.
But we already had funds allocated for this property.
there is money in an account, but with it being that much of a difference, I definitely want to run it by you guys.
What was the difference?
$5,000.
It's, sucks, but I mean.
Well, what happens is when the power goes out, which happens a lot, we need to remain functional.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had a time or two last year where what we had didn't last as long as we thought it would. And we need to have our phones and intercoms and
Everything needs to
internet
stay
and all that.
running.
Sure that have to buy a giant cat generator set out there. I'm sure that's a
And I
little
can
more than
promise you
14.
Well,
that
we've been
more than
discussing-
$14,000.
We've been discussing those and we'd like to look at some grants that would help us get those. So we would like to get some generators.
I'll make a motion. Motion. All in favor? Adoption of MOCAT.
So MOCAT is an organization, it's a financial investing organization. Really, their entire board of directors are superintendents or retired superintendents. The guys that are working for them have been in school finance for decades. They're gurus in school finance, going around the state doing training. Like, these are people that know finance and know school finance. The resolution wouldn't lock us into anything. There is no cost to approve this resolution or adopt the resolution. All the resolution really does is say we can explore
Gives us the
investing.
vehicle to,
We can explore investing. And so if you adopt the resolution, I would, get this turned over there pretty quick, and by the next board meeting, they would run a deep analysis into our financials to determine how much we could safely invest if we chose to, because we've got a pretty good amount sitting in the bank right now, drawing about 3%. And you might be able to take some and put in a 6-month CD, because we can do without some of that for 6 months and maybe draw 4%. So we'd be able to make a little bit more, and they would be able to determine how much we could safely do that with. And it's all conservative, all safe stuff. Like, they're not going to school.
they're not buying penny stocks.
So, so anyway, all the resolution would do is just allow us to explore and see what those options are.
I like that idea. I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
All in favor? For this resolution.
It was perfect.
MOCAT's also a partner with the GoCSD that we recently joined, that cooperative of school districts across Missouri.
Motion no brainer.
Second. All in favor?
There's a few more signatures with this one.
Approve the tax rate of tax rate.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Set September 4th meeting.
Well, what's,
Slade is 17, home was 24.
I may be out.
So are we working on a day here?
Yeah, we're still trying to.
Okay, okay.
I was sidetracked with all these signatures you got to respond.
Okay, so just this. So do we- okay. That's what I wanted.
Said it wasn't trusted.
I've got 4:30.
The 17th, I may not be here. I don't have to be here, obviously. Operate this belt. I like to try. I'll say at least 24th here. Close.
Thank you,
The
thank
home
you.
game. Get most of it versus the 17th where you wouldn't get any of it. That gives April extra time to make sure she's got all her ducks.
She might like that in September.
Going on the same trail. She didn't have ducklings veering off.
What day?
24.
Oh, that would be so much
Works better for everybody.
How about you, April? How's 24th work for you? Miss Wright, you okay on the 24th?
Y'all will be fine without me if I. Don't need me.
done.
I'll, click Thursday for 24th, I guess.
Motion. Give me a second. Got a good second.
You didn't hear me. I'm sorry. I didn't speak up loud enough.
Can't hear today, okay?
All in favor?
Darla?
Raise your hand. Motion to go to close. Next meeting. Motion.
Got a motion to go into close. Need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
You made the cookies this week.
That looks like a nice workload.
We, thanks very much.
You're right.